at Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. I'm Watt, and I'm a variety video game streamer, and just sort of wanted to take a look at this because it's only got about 3 more days before the trial is ended, and I spent a little time off screen grinding so that way we could get a better look at the battle system rather than just starting from scratch. So I figure, we get to take a look, and just got a PS5, so I figured this would be as good as time as any to go ahead and go through it and see how this goes. So we'll just start on normal. I'm gonna go ahead and skip the tutorial because we'll be talking about it through the gameplay, so there's no reason. Chaos. We're gonna skip this. So essentially, this is supposed to be retelling, and I think from what I saw in the trailer, there's a bit of confusion about dialogue. They cut the trailer wrong. So in this demo, it makes sense because the original Japanese version, along with the subtitles, which are correct, basically state that that they're looking for Garland. They find Garland, and then they realize something's wrong with him, and then he says he's supposed to become Chaos. So in the trailer, they confuse it and they call him Chaos at first, and then he's like, no, I'm Garland, and then he's like, no, but I'm becoming Chaos. So like the dialogue is very weird in the English version, so know that that's clarified in here. So here we are at the very beginning. I wanted to go in here. They have job trees, of course, with job classes, breaking down different types: swordsman, mage, lancer, and then these are then further advanced. So once you get to the end of the tree, for example, with mage, you get black mage, you get R2, and it breaks down even more skills. Of course, obviously your typical stats and stuff, but of course there's also a lot like fast cast, and the way you cast magic is you hold the button, you hold the element for a while, and you'll see a bar rotate up, and once it's full, it goes by levels to cast, to level 3. Battle settings are just basically equipment. On this side, or you see where the job affinity is up on this side. So my finger's cut off, but up there's stats. On the right side, each one actually shows different affinity types. So off your current job class, which is swordsman, anything that has a swordsman symbol, the same as the job class up by the name there, has a percentage bonus. You have different types of equipment. All of this is very, very Lightning Returns. So anybody who has not played Lightning Returns before, this is essentially how the system works as far as equipment standpoint. Aside from the affinity, you get a whole bunch of different versions of weapons and skills that drop, right? And you fuse those weapons in advance, you fuse those skills in advance. I don't know if this game will have it, but this one definitely has multiple pieces of equipment with different things that have different effects and different synergies. So it's very, very, I think it'll be very, very complex in all the things you can do customizing. So don't mistake that the system may be similar. Also, I know people's concern was armor, right? And if you can equip it, and if it changes, or how exactly they're going to go about visually changing his look, because he looked like a very, very generic character. You have loadouts, so you can swap between, which also gives him different loadouts, and of course different pieces of armor and weaponry change, what he has on himself. So if I were to change to, like, let's say this outfit, so I mean, it's your typical things change as you equip. So, I'm sort of glad about that, versus just a generic JRPG looking character. So even further, combat abilities. You can go in here and you can string together how your combat flow goes in game. And we'll get into combat shortly, but essentially you can equip different levels down here and preset them to be able to chain together. Same thing with the job class. You can chain together those moves, which you expend MP for. Same thing down here. Command abilities are a bit different. Things like Ruin or Reinforce to, buff yourself, or this move that's called Lightbringer. Basically, you turn things into crystal and you shatter them, and then the more you shatter or kill things, the more MP you get, up to 6 MP slots, which may change. But every time you die, you lose MP. So, it's weird because you get penalized for dying in a way that it affects your stats, sort of like in Final Fantasy 14, where you get weakness on you, but it's not the same thing. There's not a timer. Essentially, it just pulls your stats down. In this case, your MP down. Same thing for here. You can only have 2 job classes at once, by the way. So you can sub in other job classes here, mage, black mage, etc. But you may only swap between the 2 slots. So unlike Lightning Returns, where you can swap up to 2 or 3, paradigms, this specifically you can only swap in this way. So, oops, I noticed I did not have armor down here. Okay, so I guess we can get to the combat now. So I'm hoping more slots, but the way that the combat system works, I would say that's fair. So the thing is, aside from everything else, like your battle setup, in menu, right? You hit triangle to job class swap, which you can see over in this direction here. You can see the swap between the job classes, which is instantaneous. On the bottom, by your health meter, there's your special abilities, which also change, and your MP stats. When you're casting magic, you'll hold, see, Firaga. The longer you hold something, right, the higher the cast level is. However, if you level up your magic, that cast time gets reduced. So, for example, Black Mage can already start at Fyra and then just go to Firaga. But level 1 is you have to go all the way from Fyra to Firaga. So that cast time changes. And they just give you all the elements. And then Flare because Black Mage specific. But hold time is what determines how big that spell is. You have block. If you block and this meter shatters, you go into break status, which is what happens to most monsters usually. Like most Final Fantasies, you yourself, rarely, have a break gauge, but in this case you do. Aside from block, you have your dodge, you have your basic attack, and then of course you have your charge attack, which eats MP. You have potions, which is up to 5 above your health bar. You can no damage if you block. So if you're blocking, right, you take no damage. You can counter using his special ability. This here, it eats part of your break gauge, but when you use it, you can counter and interrupt moves. You can also absorb moves. So if somebody's throwing like stone throw at you and you catch it with this, you obtain the ability to throw back at them. So I will just get into this. This is a save point. You click here. You heal your MP all the way. When you touch these cubes, it saves your state and it gives you up to 5 potions essentially. And then that's where you spawn if you die. So combat has auto target, which is you click R3. See, they have that break gauge, so you want to hit that. Right here, see it's the soul burst. You turn him to crystal, you shatter him. If you look now by my MP gauge, you see how my MP healed up part way? That is because if you actually look at that down here, as you shatter, you gain that MP. Like, it increases your gauge. When you die, it decreases. Like your max cap. Very weird mechanic. It is difficult, but not as difficult as you would think. You can expend it too, though. So we're going to use Lightbringer. By using Lightbringer, this automatically turns these guys into crystal. See, you'll counter with that. And shatter him with crystal. You absorb it, and then my MP increases again. So it increases the cap. So, yes, exactly. It is health management. Your health never decreases, but your MP does when you die, so... this... we can absorb an ability. So you can block, that's a block. You can counter. By doing this, I've absorbed Stone Throw. I can now give Stone Throw back to him. So it's like he siphons the ability. You can also counter with it. So if he's gonna swing at me, oops, hee hee. It's so hard to get used to though. Let's see. There we go, and you counter that way. So, Nemu, kill chaos. And then you use potions and you get like these 5 droplets. Armor chests are the same. They're random drops. You click on here, you get an item. Sort of like lightning returns as well. So in lightning returns, you get different colored text. Different colored text equates to different special armor. So for example, this level 9 white colored Pale Protector and this level 10 have nothing special about them. They have some equipment effects, nothing, you know, to write home about. And then you go into the yellow version, and then there's also green, purple, blue, which have extra additional added equipment effects, which are, you know, are rarer to get. So a lot of this stuff, I feel like, yes. So, okay, we can talk about the parry window as well, since you're curious about the parry window. So on parry window, you can hold as long as your break bar holds. So that's your parry window right there. If you do too much and I get hit, you can get shattered into a break state and you get punished on that. So your goal is to never let that yellow bar deplete all the way. It feels like I get where they're going with, right? But here's the question about this game. Is it Final Fantasy? So while I believe that the game is very interesting and can be good, I don't feel it's in their wheelhouse. Like, that's not what people play Final Fantasy for. We have Devil May Cry and stuff like that, you know? So as you can see, you get access to all your elements and their levels right at the beginning. You're gonna parry again. See, this is what happens whenever I break status. So it isn't Souls-like in the way, I think, aesthetically, right? Correct? I feel very much that it is. More darker style, more, you know, my brother used the word visceral. Like, somebody said, oh, we want to go dark and, you know, more mature, and visceral was a word that he said that somebody just said they wanted to go with. See, and you get punished for, you know, getting shattered like that. We'll counter with Quake. And then your jobs level up the same way. You pick up armor. And to advance, you will destroy these weird looking gross portal things. And you shatter them, which allows you to advance in the stage, usually causing a break of scenery or some major destruction damage. So, it's more action RPG, right? So, with Final Fantasy 15, it was very action-oriented, and I related it to something like Kingdom Hearts, right? Like, essentially, it was Kingdom Hearts with a mix of part of 13's battle system. I feel this way is very much more action RPG. Is it cool for a side spin-off? Sure, yeah, like why not, right? But this at its core is not what Final Fantasy was built on. So they have to get the story right. It's very potentially very risky. I don't know if I would consider it Final Fantasy. However, the music in this is very, very good. That's something that as you go through, we'll hear different themes and you'll see what I mean by that. We're gonna sort of advance here and take a look. So they have these little hints and stuff, and they have bombs and stuff. What's really cool about the bombs is they can set fire to the locations. So right now, as you see, that there's a whole bunch of fire here. You can also put out fire, which is pretty interesting mechanic. You can also reverse the magic. And there's of course your you know, destructible spaces. So we burn it here and it opens up. Yeah, so if you play on hard mode, right, the AI is lacking. I will make the assumption that that is because it's, you know, work in progress. It's a demo. That's my suspicion. But you have multiple paths. We can go down the hallway, go off the side. Of course, as always, Square Enix games look really good. It's just really darker. And playing the first Final Fantasy, I just don't see it as having been, you know... The job class level up. See, so if you notice my MP, right? And the position that my MP is at right now, you'll see I now have 3 stacks of MP. Which is pretty interesting because before, as I said, as you shatter more creatures, you get more MP back. So right now I'm almost at full 4 bars of MP when I started out with 2. So... very, very interesting. If Jack goes down, yes, correct. That is something that is also a frowned upon thing. Right. As ZK said in chat here, I agree with that. There are things you can provide feedback on. So just keep providing feedback, everybody. There's still 3 more days left. One other thing I did want to mention is that you can fall off of things. So I'm not going to do it here because I'll reduce my MP and I need it for the end. But if I'm walking across here, right, I can literally fall off. I can't jump or climb or anything like that. It's very like you're on the ground. But when you're walking here, you can literally fall off of this and die. I don't really understand why they would allow that to happen. A little bit of an odd choice, right? Like how there's no mechanic unless a bridge is falling, or like, you know, Bayonetta, where they have those chase scenes and like stuff's breaking apart and you fall because, you know, something's chasing you. But I mean, other than that, there's no real reason to have that, but apparently you can. So I mean, there are a lot of things I like about this game, but you have to consider, like I said, it doesn't feel Final Fantasy like to me, you know, me anyway. So you advance down the skill tree. We are in Lancer, and then eventually when you get to the end, you can get Dragoon. But you have to basically, like 14, do the smaller classes, and then you get the mastered classes. We're already on Black Mage, so I want fast cast eventually, so we're gonna head down this path. I will say, if you're talking about, right, Dark Souls, I'll say that this game, if you play it on hard, yeah, it's very easy to get like a couple of hits and die. No random holes to fall down or anything like that. They have interesting mechanics like this, where you have to cast, you know, water to move obstacles or terrain and stuff like that. So that's really cool use of the, I guess, elements and magic type thing. But no random falling. Cactuar! Wow, wow, wow. No! I feel so guilty. So you pick up the random drops. There is a drop increaser. So if you want to increase like the kind of stuff that drops, which is pretty helpful. So, aside from that, you go through this temple that supposedly is Chaos Temple. Big areas to look around. Translation is gonna be, I assume, the English dialogue, because he says there's tons of monsters around, be careful, and that's not at all what he said in English, so I assume they do the standard, we're taking the script from, you know, said English version, and not direct translating Japanese, which I assume is gonna be the case. So, as I mentioned before, destructible environments. You can fall off of this too, by the way. All the other stuff is destructible too, if you're curious. If you are... There's got like weird environment things like that, right? Like you step on Rebel, and then it just sort of is like, oh look, it randomly vanishes because you touched a hitbox, which I'm sure that'll be fixed, but that's a little weird for like floor rubble just to like randomly disappear. Like I said, there's no jumping, so I can't jump over this or anything, but if you find a hole on the side, you can jump off of it. Again, weird design choices, but you know. So there's lots of monsters here in this case. See, you can still get broken. And then you can get overwhelmed, of course. So you can combo. So Fiery Impact is a prime example. Pick up all the armor. Special colored armor here. The stock sound for jar breaks. Very true. So, I'm out of potions. There's no heal spells, by the way. It's solely items, which is pretty interesting. The lighting in the environment's very nice on it. And I don't have a background this time around like a frame because I wanted to give as much retail space to looking at the game as possible. For, you know, just the experience of being able to see everything since it's a newer game and people probably want to go back and watch footage and look at how things work. So, the spaces above here, the environments are what's really impressive. So, there's different layers. So we were in this room earlier, but we were down there. So they have backtracking here, which may be a thing later. You kick down the ladder, and you can go back down. I jumped, but I mean, you obviously climb down. This heals you to whatever your max MP is, and then it gives you more potions, those little green droplets. You notice that when I use Lightbringer, which is this skill here on the right on circle, it actually pops one of your MP sections. So it's pretty interesting. The other skills and abilities don't necessarily do that, but some mechanics will actually end up decreasing your MP as well, like your cap. So it's a constant balance of like how much MP do you have all 6 slots open. If you expend something, it'll reduce how much you can use in the long run. So it's a lot of do I have or will I have enough type thing. Okay. We will hold off on that. Pick up this bomb and we'll explode it. Explode. The sound effects. Like, this may all change. You never know, you know? Just dunk the bat. Just dunk the bat. So I popped a few of them, so I'm getting my MP back. The 6th slot that I expended earlier. I like to hold on to them because if you, like I said, die, it becomes a hassle. So, of course, there's multiple pathways you can take. Usually, if you take the pathway that doesn't look like the main one, there's usually treasure or something. Camera's a little tight, a little wonky. Also, the thing that bothers me is I know we gotta start somewhere, but do we gotta start with the name Jack? Like, this isn't a... This is a JRPG, or it's supposed to be based off a JRPG, not like one of the Tom Clancy, you know, novel video game type thing, you know, Jack. Or like the Titanic. I will say I like the music a lot. We'll destroy the bat. We'll destroy the bomb before the bomb goes off. Oh, he had a break. Bats are super annoying. If you hold, of course, you shatter these pillars. The longer you hold or charge something, the more damage it does, but that's just in general how this works. The thing is that you can't really pause per se. I'll show you the pause system. It's a little weird too, but things still attack you. Okay, so when you pause, this overview menu, stuff's still going on in the background. So you have to literally hit the pad in the middle to actually pause it. There's like a pause status. If you go into your menu, right, job tree in the middle of battle, yes, you will get attacked. Yes, you still will get hurt and hit and everything. So definitely something to think about. So we've got fast cast. So in this case, shortens Black Magic 2 casting time while Lightbringer is active. Lightbringer is that burst of energy that we see before. So we're gonna head up The demo isn't extremely long. I'm going at a faster pace. Normally you have to level all these skills and it takes time and everything. And you can actually run this multiple times, but I went ahead and grinded a little bit ahead for you guys to get a better idea of the system. Load times are a little wonky. I'll be moving. They probably do some sort of packet loading because I'll be moving and all of a sudden the screen will just sort of like jolt for a second, indicating it's loading. So things like that. Heal up again. We now have max MP. Your MP can only be as long as your health bar, at least in this, version of the game. We'll go in here. We're gonna run past all these guys, just a whole bunch of skeleton dudes. They have unblockable attacks. When you fight them, you cannot block. So there's certain, like, I guess, you can't parry some stuff with certain monsters. So not only did we talk about parry before, right? And about how the windows are short, there are some monsters that you run into that you can't, do anything about. So I should probably turn off my messages next time. So am I enjoying it? That's a loaded question. So we're gonna go around. We don't care about our party members because we're just trying to get through this. So the coolest part about this for me, okay, good. We're out of the. Are we out of the fight yet? I guess we're not. I guess we'll go ahead and expend it. So I expended a bar. So, the music is pretty good. Although it's very, very interesting the type of music that they're using, because it's supposed to be FF1, but we have this theme which is playing, which is pretty interesting. Same thing, there's, treasure chests in each room. There's a giant griffin mini boss over here. Very, very interesting. So there's a griffin over there you can fight. And we go off in here, further in. This says there's no key because we have to go get a key that's over here. So, I mean, the interesting thing about this demo, right, is the direction. And so the gameplay isn't my complaint at all. Like, it's very interesting mechanic and stuff. What drives me crazy unblockable. You have to be very careful on those because since you can't block, once you're dead, you're like dead. Okay, so we have the key now. We're going to head into the next room. I just feel like a lot of it has everything that Lightning Returns did, it's just being repeated in other games and system mechanics, and I feel like while that's interesting take, I guess, even these little symbols here, like almost to the T, I just wish it was more expansive with newer mechanics versus rehashed ones. And if you are going to reuse them, which is fine, it just makes it very... We've done it before. We're gonna go with that. We're gonna check our armor really quick before getting to the end of the demo. Mainly, they have Dragoon, which is pretty cool. You can definitely check out Dragoon. That's the thing, right? Is like, if you become a developer and you're working on stuff, you know, ZK, 15 and this game both got immense benefits from the 13 trilogy, and while it sounds like, oh, this person just loves FF13, which I do, by the way, it's my favorite of like all FFs, even though I played them all. Except for 12 and 11, because we explained 12 I fall asleep on, and 11 I just never got a chance to. It's the exact same thing with the equipment, the special abilities attached to certain equipment, except they had it a step further, where in Lightning Returns, you would drop, you know, abilities, and those abilities could be fused to then make other abilities. Everything was fusible and changeable. In that game, I know so well because I spent like 300 hours on it. I think this is interesting. I don't think it's a bad step towards it. I do think that very questionable if I would call it FF. Especially FF Origins. Like, I don't know. It's good to stand on its own, but I just don't feel like when you're attaching origin on the name, like you want to retell the story for a new generation, is what you're saying that this generation of FF is going to be action based, like everything going forward is that, like, you know, Square Enix's goal. Right, so I also think the same. The story is really solid as well. The game itself is really solid. The story could be... The story makes sense with this version versus how they cut the trailer. Because like I said, the trailer was like, Chaos. Oh no, you're Garland. Oh no, I'm going to be Chaos. That's not at all how this cutscene goes. In this version, they say, you know, Princess Sarah explains that Garland went missing. They can't find him. So they see him and they recognize the armor and they're like, oh, you're Garland. And then he says, no, I'm going to be Chaos. And he's like, there's some confusion because they don't understand that he's been taken over. And in the demo, it's very clear that they are looking for Garland and that he isn't who he's supposed to be, right? In the trailer, they made it confusing. Like the way that they cut the audio was very, very weird. And it's not at all how the actual situation goes. I thought that was really interesting. Maybe a mistake, but a pretty big one to confuse people, right? So... Chaos. Everything's chaos. So speaking of chaos, we're going to go ahead and head in now. So this is all very, very fast paced. I haven't played this part yet, so this is new to me. I'm probably gonna die horribly. Yeah, I don't think I can... Yep, see? And it's like that quick. Chaos, Garland, chaos. So what happens is, when you die, Those 6 bars I now have are now 4. So every time you die, your penalty is that you get less MP and you can cast less magic. Making it even more so difficult. But, I mean, so the better you perform, right? The better you do. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? But, you know. Also, just a matter of note that you have to go back out, fight more monsters to regain your MP bar. See? So, to get 6 again, I have to go back out there and grind again, which helps, you know, sort of, I guess, make the player grind to get those levels, but it's not something that I would enjoy necessarily doing constantly. Yeah, exactly. So like Code Vein, everybody. Ooh, missed that. Ah, missed it. I thought he was gonna... I was gonna fire him. Ugh. Oof. Ah! See, but then you shatter and then you die. He just walks back up to his throne. So, that gives you a better idea of the demo. Obviously, we would have to grind to go further, and I'm sure people have beaten Garland. Which we can just sort of do that now. I mean, I've gotten the majority of the video done just explaining what it is, how it looks, all the functionality of everything, so that gives you a good idea of how it plays. I'll open the floor to questions. No, no. We'll just sort of hang out. Because that's my plan, is to sort of play this anyway, because there's only 2 days left on it, so I wanted to sort of get some time in with it. Good TED Talk, good TED Talk. I'm trying to get stuff back up for YouTube again, and so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to record a lot of it from Twitch and have a backlog of stuff, so that way I can just put stuff on YouTube. So general idea is that I have enough to, you know, do content for a while, because like since I only stream once a week, maybe a couple times now that I've like finally moved, I want to be able to have stuff lined up, if that gives you an idea. Unblockable, blah. I'm so bad at parrying too, which is my own fault. The music's great though. If you said that to me, Blishu, I would be like, line it up, because I would buy it off you, depending on what it was. I know that seems like such a vulture thing to say, right? I'm trying to preserve everything. That's my job, is preservationist. I hate that. Ah! Crunch the Griffin. Crunch, crunch. If you do Bushu, I would gladly take some stuff. So just a heads up on that. So that's pretty much this game in a nutshell. Oh, so heads up on streaming schedule. I'm gonna change it. I think I'm gonna do Fridays is Final Fantasy Fridays in the afternoon for a few hours because RPGs are a long time anyway. And then Sunday is gonna be Xenosaga stuff, I think. But before all that happens, know that FF7 Remake is happening next in Intergrade. So it's something you should know, is that's going to be priority because I want to see the new ending and I don't want to be spoiled, and I've been putting it off. So I want to do the initial normal run this week, which is the plan. So later on in the week, I guess we'll do that Saturday. And then next week will be the regular new schedule. So like Final Fantasy on Friday, Sunday Xenosaga, and then Saturday I'm not going to do anything because people generally are out on Saturday anyway. So give people a better idea. Well, bless you, I'm not in a rush either, so it gives you time to think about it, and it gives me time to save up if that's what you want to do. If you don't want to, that's fine as well. But know that I will keep that, you know, my priority is preserving every item, so I'd rather have it all, as much as possible, come to me, that, you know, to have complete. I guess I can't go backwards. If I go backwards, the music doesn't change or anything, so, you know. But I don't know if I'll like it, because this game specifically, you're with a party of people, right? So, like, the original wasn't a party. It was just the Warrior of Light, and now they want to tell this story with multiple people. And I guess you have these general Warrior of Light people. Just feels a little off, so. And the user AI is useless in this game too. Nemu specifically because like you were saying, they don't really do anything. Like they fight Garland and they lose usually. So that's a little weird. We're gonna unlock Warrior. We're gonna change his job to Warrior level 1. We're gonna go here. This is a little weird too because it doesn't want to go down the path. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they should be able to. That happened in a another Final Fantasy title as well. Ugh. Maybe I just am not. Oh, and I'm dead. Nope. Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, yeah, but like, what's the point of you having a party if you're gonna die, right? Like, you know, let's try a different job class, by the way, just because we might as well give it a try. Let's get rid of magic. We're gonna go to Lancer. Halberd. We want to go for the highest attack damage. This is the cool part though about being a Dragoon. Look, woo! So Rem, this is a trial version. It's only available for 10 days, only on PlayStation 5, and it has about approximately 3 days left. So I thought, you know, today I went through earlier about an hour ago, explained all the mechanics, how everything works. It's a limited time demo, so I wanted to get it all in before it was, you know, too late to do it. So, yeah. I think it's cool, but it's not like Final Fantasy. So, you know, like it is and it isn't. It just feels a little off to me. Let's spear him. Spear. The problem with Lancer is you don't have a way to block. But it makes it fun. No sign of chocobos in this at all. But again, it's just a demo. It's just Garland's general area. Would be awesome, but it's not in here. We're gonna farm a bit because I think I can hit Garland with spears better than I can anything else. Dead. A lot of stuff I want to say. I think that this game brings job classes to life. Like, I think that's probably the best thing about this game, right? Is that it actually lets you bring together some of that stuff that you would not normally see. I sort of just feel like it just isn't really. There's something missing. Like, we're used to travel and adventure and chocobos and moogles and like seeing really cool stuff. And this just feels like a typical like Devil May Cry action RPG type thing. Like, it's missing the feel of Final Fantasy, so. Ugh, I'm a bad shot. Dead weight, dead weight. So I'm just gonna level this up and we'll see how it goes. I don't really have a goal set in mind today. Like I said, Final Fantasy VII Intergrade will be Saturday, so that's the big thing. I want to play it now, but we don't have time because I think the DLC is like 4 hours. I think that's fair. But I think 15 was a pretty clear message, right? Like, I get that it sold well, but like the story was a hella mess. And they're known for stories. They're not really known for, you know. But I get it too because apparently their biggest problem is that they're not relating to younger people. And I think maybe it's an attention span thing, or maybe it's a, I don't know. I think people can recognize a good RPG or a good game when they see it, right? Like, I don't think it has anything to do with that. Like, I think they're really selling themselves short. I think they need to go back to review like how they used to make Final Fantasy and go from there. Because I don't think it's that. I really think it's just the fact that they no longer make games how they used to make them. So, good or bad. So, which is a bummer because I feel like they always have that magic, you know, but oh well. So we'll just continue to go over here. We're gonna fight Garland, and I think that's it really for today. I'll just keep it short. Maybe we can beat Garland. I'm so proud of Dragoon leveling up and doing something with its life. We're gonna try this now. There's no way we can fail with a jump. I don't know if I like jump better than throw though, to be honest with you. But we're gonna try it. Wow, good Dragoon. I just wanted as much I wanted as much those MP bars as possible. Ooh, come on. Oh, no! Oh, no! Dang it! Go team! My party wasn't completely useless. Garland! Dragoon power! Only in this game. This is how I know this game has issues, because Dragoon is the strongest job class in this game. Chaos. No chaos. Thank you for playing. Hey, so at least we finished it. Shall we fill out the survey together and collectively decide what we would like to say? First try in Dragoon. Isn't that how, like, that's so, you know, I don't know how to consolidate my feelings into, you know, appropriate expression on Dragoons. So it's available until 7/2, so that's why we're doing it today. Let's see if it'll let us fill it out now. And if so, then let's do it together, I guess. Survey form. How do you feel about your experience as a whole? So I played in normal. I assume that hard is probably... It's a fun game. Like, I won't deny it, but is it Final Fantasy, right? Defeated final boss. Yeah, that's what that is. We're gonna come back to this question right here up top, because I feel like we gotta talk about this. How satisfied were you with the character and equipment graphics? Satisfied were you with visual environments? The environments were they were nice, right? I appreciate the game mechanics. How satisfied were you with the character and graphics? I'd say dissatisfied. Like, no offense, but I get that it's darker, but the armor design is very in the realm of 15 and drab and dark and stuff, and I really think that maybe variety, or maybe it's just the variety of what they put in here. They're all black. Majority of them are dark. There's like one blue piece, armor wise. Character design, we've all argued about character design already, so have satisfied action and abilities. Those are really good. There's a lot of varying. Battle system's fun. Break Gods right now. Yeah, this whole game needs color, but the break gauge. I want to say dissatisfied, but maybe it's not. The soul burst is okay. Soul shield is what's really crappy. The break gauge is okay. I don't really... Yeah, no armor. Like, as far as I know, like, I collected every single piece of armor. Lightbringer, I rarely used it. It's not bad, but it's not good. Like, I'm not benefiting anything off of it. I know that it says if there's a lot of enemies around me, but it could just be that in this instance, we aren't actually utilizing it to its fullest. So that might be a thing. Okay, weapons. So, most fun to use, I'll say spear. I won't lie. Okay. Jobs. Dragoon, yes, it was fantastic. And Lancer. I hated Swordsman Warrior. No. No, I'm not. I will wait for a heavy discount, depending on how they fix it. Black Mage is cool. And Mage is alright. I don't really like warrior classes, so... Great Sword was really just swordsman in general. had buffs and stuff, but it just was like very, very extremely slow. It's standard. It's standard, so I'll say satisfied. Neutral. It's not Final Fantasy. Is that a very dissatisfied, by the way? Because it's not Final Fantasy. It's its own thing. I get it, but that's not the question they're asking us. They're asking us like, how satisfied are you? It's like every other. Um, I think minor enemies absolutely should be in the game. Um, hmm, they're good. Very, very. How do you feel about the game balance when fighting the boss in the deepest regions of the dungeon? Um, I think it's fun if you level and you have more abilities. I think it's pretty fun. Sound. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, except wait, no, we have to be satisfied, right? Because the jar, the breaking of the jar sound effect did not make someone happy in chat, right? So we're satisfied. We're not super satisfied. Or is that stock break noise the stocking of the glass breaking? You like the jar? Okay, we'll put very satisfied then. Uh, the HUD is sort of lacking, but it's good. Oh, you know what? Um, Things that would be nice. Absolutely, ally info. How are we supposed to know if we can't, if we can raise them, right? And there's no, maybe there's like a healer class. Um, and maybe ally info. I think that's the only thing that was missing because we had the bar up top, which is Garland. Ours was on the bottom of the HUD, and I think we had no party member stuff. That's good. Like, okay, that's the thing, right? Like, this game has such potential, I feel, because of all the different job classes. But the guy being named Jack, right? Like, I talked about it before, Tom Clancy. This is not. It's supposed to be a JRPG, and it's very weird to give him a name, especially since he's the original Warrior of Light. If that's how they're telling this story, because we look at Stranger Paradise and the logo is chaos. So somehow I feel like it's all chaos related, like his origin story. Or maybe your main character is actually chaos and not the Warrior of Light. And, maybe you're fighting chaos who took over your former self in like some weird time loop or something. It's all like, the original story, right? Um Yeah, I think so too. I think it's more this origin story of chaos. He's the stranger in paradise, right? Like there's paradise and the stranger is chaos and the origin story of chaos. Like that's probably what it's gonna be. If that's the case, then I could see why it's hack and slash and darker, because Chaos's whole story was darker. Um, Really weird. His name is Jack though, but I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. Things you'd like to see that weren't present. Glamour, obviously. Yes, absolutely. And display options, sure. Things I would have liked to see that wasn't present. Moogles and Chocobos and Final Fantasy, like, allied creatures? We'll put other. Uh, Tutorial was fine. Hmm. I don't really have a preference on the other stuff. Oh my gosh, this is the worst question ever that anybody can ever ask you in a survey. because like I will just click down the whole entire line because I just play. Obviously I got into Monster Hunter recently. I play tons of fighting games, Guilty Gear, Street Fighter, whatever. Um, I played the Musou stuff, and I played Battle Royale. Oh my gosh! See, this is why we can't. We can't because like I'm clicking everything. What is wrong with me? Yeah. See, if I go down this list, I literally it's everything. So I don't know. TMG plushies. Yeah, exactly. Plushies. Um. So how did you hear about the demo? Um, YouTube because of the presentation. I guess it's that, and I guess game media, the word of mouth is cows everywhere. Square Enix site, YouTube videos. On the end of this spear. Okay, so now we've answered all this stuff. That brings us to the top question that we've got to go back. How do we feel about your gameplay experience as a whole? I want to say dissatisfied. I guess that's awful, right? Because we've gone through everything, and that's not what I answered, right? But think of it this way: would I care if this is any other action game like Devil May Cry or something else? That's what I expect from it, right? Is it, ZK? You might be right. I'm leaning towards dissatisfied for one reason and one reason alone. Um, I feel like it's because it has the Final Fantasy name on it, right? Because this is their origin story. This is the thing that saved their company, and this is what they're putting as their best foot forward to a new generation of people that may have not played it. And for me, I feel like if this was any other hack and slash game, if this was anything else, then I'd be like, it's an amazing game on its own. But you're trying to get me to care about why I should buy this product and why it matters to me. People care because it has FF's name attached, correct? So if it didn't have the name attached as a game, I think I would play it. I don't think I would have bought it at release. If you took away just like the whole Final Fantasy name off of it. Is it a great game? Yeah, I think it's a great game standalone on its own. But because it carries the Final Fantasy name, I think that hurts it as a creation, like as its own existing creation itself. And it also causes me to worry that because of how Final Fantasy 15 was, and because of how this game is, that's the route that they want to take the future of Final Fantasy. And that's what's worrisome. It could just be a spin-off title. Could just be an experiment, right? But I can't say I was overall satisfied with it, knowing that that's what's going to determine whether Final Fantasy continues down this path. And if it's a survey where you have input, I think I have to say that. Right. And that's the thing, though, is that with 14, right, and the mechanics, and it's more actiony and that type of thing, I honestly trust the Final Fantasy 14 team to do better with Final Fantasy 16 than this. We look at Final Fantasy 7 Remake, right? Like, I know we're streaming it Saturday, and we're going to play Integrate and everything, and I don't know if you guys have played Final Fantasy 7 Remake, but I feel like that was their best foot forward action style. Final Fantasy 7 Remake takes the ability to play with menu versus playing full-on action without even going into the menu at all. Graphically, the way that things flow, how it's built, that feels very clean honest and they put their whole heart into. Not just the story. Let's cut the story and let's go to the base mechanics. It had the best of FF15's action. It had the best mechanics, like the Crystarium from Final Fantasy 13 for the level up system. It had equipment. It had the materia from the original. It had levels of the materia. I think that it covered all its bases of combining old era mechanics with new mechanics to create a system that is cohesive, and it's intuitive because everybody who's played those past Final Fantasies immediately pick up on it. Anybody who hasn't, it's not so complex that you can't learn it. But this game feels like it's trying to do all these different things and that its directions sort of it's lacking direction in a different way versus 13 that was like they just didn't have a direction. This is more like they have one, but it's the wrong direction for their fan base, unless they're just wanting new people, and then unfortunately, you know, what are you gonna do? Things we want to say. It has, we're gonna type, this is gonna be a little annoying. Feel of, I guess we'll say it has the feel of Devil May Cry. Or generic, right? Action RPG. But needs the magic. Desperately needs the magic. I need a keyboard attached to this thing, y'all. Okay. Yeah, I think this is okay to put. It has the Devil May Cry or generic action. It says TRPG. I need to change that. Action RPG, but desperately needs the magic that makes a Final Fantasy a Final Fantasy. I guess it lacks color. And to the player, I guess I want to say outside of what genre it's in. Okay, we're done. I think that's harsh, but I mean, that's my honest opinion of having gone through it with you guys for this last 2 hours. Has the feel of Devil May Cry or generic action RPG, but desperately needs the magic that makes a Final Fantasy a Final Fantasy. It lacks color and doesn't offer a defined experience unique to the player outside of what genre it's in. Action RPG. Oof. Oh. Okay, there we go. We're gonna slowly scroll past everybody so you can see our answers of how we feel. I'm trying to critique from a fan, from the love of a fan, Final Fantasy. who has never spoken about your games because, you know. So these are our answers. We're gonna go down. Probably move the mouse this way. The perfect outcome for this game would be aesthetic changes. I feel nothing wrong with the gameplay. It's all cool. You can turn things to crystal, whatever. But it's trying to be best. And my brother and I, because I have a sibling, it's best is what he said. It's like they found that word visceral and then they just held on to it. Like they wanted it bloody, mature, edgy. That doesn't make a good game. Blood and gore does not make a good game. You could essentially have them shatter into crystal and it'd be a blue crystal or another color crystal, or, you know, based off the crystal you shatter, you can level up, you know, things like you have to farm so many bats that shatter into pink crystals, which are used for a dragoon, or, you know, yellow crystals, which are used for saboteur, or, you know, like they're like job class crystals, and you could shatter those crystals and you could use those to upgrade the different job classes, like different colored crystals. Or if you want to go that route, that mechanic, right? Versus like shattering the crystal and it giving you MP back, right? In that 6 MP slot, like they take it away from you when you die, and you want to, you know, get more back because you died, you lost 2, you're down to 4, but you have to break more crystals to get up to 6 again. Like it's like a mechanic that's repetitive for the sake of being repetitive, and I feel all it does is add detriment, right? Because you can add difficulty, but I don't think that adds a layer of difficulty for me, right? Like, give me a meaning to collecting crystals, and maybe that is shattering different elemental type creatures to get elemental type crystals to upgrade job classes. You know, that's a good idea of like farming versus just generically killing everything and upgrading whatever. If you want to make it more involved, and if you're going to make it grindy, because if you want to do repetitive gameplay, like you're getting value out of repeating it, that's something that, you know, would give you that. So we're submitting it. Rip. There you go, ladies and gents. We've submitted the survey. Okie doke. Okay, well, that's it. So for everybody wondering what this game was about, that is what this game is like. And as you can see, Chaos is in the main logo, so I think it's about him. So, yay, we've done something productive on stream for a change. So, Final Fantasy VII Integrate, which I'm super excited about. Like, you have no idea. Like, I bawled my eyes out in the original. I have the video footage. I never cut it onto YouTube because it's like me ugly crying. Cool. So that's it for today.